Good evening, friends. We will be discussing one stock company, chapter 2 from secretarial practice. We have already done with the introduction and types of organizations, which we have studied in detail in Organization of Commerce. So, this chapter is all about joint stock company. So, first of all, what do you mean by company? So, company, it is a group of individuals and they are working for some common purpose or for some common objective or goal, and that goal, it might be economic objective or it might be economic goal or non-economic goal, because the company which is formed means the purpose of formation of company, it will be different for a different types of company. If you are talking about the economic purpose, then it might be about getting more and more profits. It will be about getting more and more economic growth. And if you are talking about the non-economic goals, then the company which are formed for a charity purpose, for a social work purpose, for a sports, for a culture, for the arts. So all those companies, they are known as a non-economic company. Means those company, their goal is to provide a service to the members, is to provide a certain contribution towards the development of society, and not only what you can say that they don't want to earn profits only. Okay. So here we are starting with a joint stock company, because if you talk about the company, they have a huge share capital, and that share capital, it might be contributed by the friends, by the family, or by the common public. It depends upon the nature of the company, right? It might be a public company or it might be a private company. Okay. So if you are specifically talking about joint stock company, then that joint stock company, it has a huge share capital. Now, first of all, that share capital, it is divided into the small pieces, and every piece, it is known as a share, and the person who is purchasing that share is known as a shareholder, and he will be contributing towards the capital of the company, so he becomes owner of the company. Means I think in last chapter we have discussed about the debentures and shares too, because as I said to you that if you are purchasing a share, you will become an owner of the company, because you are contributing towards the capital of the company. And if you are purchasing the debentures, it means it is a kind of a loan, so it means you are a creditor of that company. So there is a difference between both of these terms, because creditors, they are redeemed after a certain period, but for equity shares, there is no certain specific limit unless and until the company decided to buy back its own shares, but that is a different part. You are going to study that in your degree section. So right now, just you need to know the only thing is the person who is purchasing the shares of the company, he will become owner of that company. So specifically, if you are talking, means in case of sole trading concern, in case of partnership firm, in case of joint into family, we know that the person who manages the business, the person who controls the business, the person who owns the business, all of them are one and only same person, right? But in case of company, it is not the case, because if you have a huge capital, you will work on a large capacity, on a large scale. So your operations, they will be big operations. So you need a efficient staff, you need a professional staff for handling all these scenarios, because every shareholder, they do not have the expert, or they do not have the expert knowledge, right? Because anyone can buy the shares. That person, he may have a knowledge of the business or he may not have a knowledge of a business, because the approach or the purposes of purchasing shares, they are very different. Someone they bought for investment, or someone they bought for other purposes. So in case of company, they have a specific professional managers, or you can call them professional persons, they are appointed, and they are known as a board of directors. Those directors, they used to look after the day-to-day activities, they used to look after the planning and implementation and all that stuff. And if you are saying, means those directors, they will get a salary, they will get a pay from the company. But those owners who are buying their shares, obviously they need to have something in return for their investment. So that what is the reward for their investment? It is known as a dividend. They will get a dividend for their investment, and that is a different part actually, a dividend, because we will discuss it later. As soon as we move forward, I think this concept, this is going to be very much deeper. But for equity shares and for preference shareholders, these are the two concepts. For preference shareholders, dividend it is a compulsory for equity shareholders. And it is not compulsion to pay the dividend, but it will be a profitable thing. Why? Because if you are paying the dividend regularly, your company will enjoy a goodwill in the market. So if you are specifically talking about a company, such company or such a joint stock company, it do have certain features and all that stuff. But before going to the features, we will first look after the definitions which are given by some people or definition according to the Companies Act. The section 20 subsection, section 2 subsection 20 of Companies Act 2013. It defines company as a company means company incorporated under this act or under any previous Companies Act. I think I told you this because before Companies Act 2013, that Companies Act 1956, it was in use, rather I can say. So if you have a company which is registered under Companies Act 2013, or if you have a company registered under Companies Act 1956, both of the organizations, they will be known as a company only. It means every organization would get status of a company if it is incorporated under the law as a company before or after enactment of the Companies Act 2013. Then there is a Professor H.N. Haney, and he defines company as a joint stock company. It is a voluntary association of individuals for a profit having capital divided into transferable shares and the ownership of which is a condition of membership. So the joint stock company, it is a voluntary association. What do you mean by voluntary association? It means they have a free entry and exist. There is no restrictions on purchasing of share, or there is no restriction on selling of shares, and merely it is for a profit concern, and it involves shares which are transferable in nature, and the ownership, it is a condition of membership. Means if you become a member, if you become a shareholder, then you will become an owner of the company. So we will move forward to the features of the company. So we will discussing that almost 12 features we have. The first one is obvious, voluntary association. Because joint stock company, it is an association formed by the persons or a group of persons registered under Companies Act 2013, and the association obtains the status of the joint stock company only after the registration. So this is an incorporate association, and if you are talking about a voluntary association, it means membership of the company, it is open to all. There is no discrimination on the basis of caste, gender, color, or any other thing. Just you have to purchase the share, just you have to make the payment, and you can become a member. You have to fulfill the basic requirements of being a member. You should have a demat account and all those stuff. So it is a voluntary association that there is no restrictions. It is incorporated association because every company, it is known as a company if it is incorporated under Companies Act. If you are forming a company and you are not getting it registered, then it won't be considered as a company, and it won't enjoy the features or that characteristics of a registered company. Okay? Then the third one, it is a separate legal entity. This is the feature which I was talking about, which I am talking about. If you are getting your company registered with the Registrar of Company, if you are getting company registered under Companies Act 2013, you will get a separate legal, and you will considered as a separate legal entity. So what is the benefit of this thing? The benefit is the shareholders, they are different, and the company, it is different. In case of sole trading, in case of partnership, in case of joint with the family, there is no separate legal status. It means the liabilities of the business, they will be considered as liabilities of the owner or the partners or the members. But in case of company, the liabilities of the company, they won't become liabilities of the shareholders. The liability of shareholder, it will be limited only to the unpaid value of its shareholdings. He do not have to contribute anything beyond his contribution towards his investment. Then it is an artificial person. So obviously company, it is an artificial person, as we are discussing that it is a separate legal entity. So it is an artificial person, or it is a person in eyes of law only. And what that means, it means company, they can enter into a contract, company, it can sign a contract, company, it can buy a property, company, it can take a loans. It means company can act as a person, but obviously it is an artificial person. They do not enjoy the features of being a natural person. So company needs to operate through its directors and the various things which are attached to this thing. But in general, what you can say that company, it is an artificial person and it can enjoy all the benefits, major benefits you can say, which is enjoyed by the natural person. It has a perpetual succession. It is one of the most important feature. It is one of the most unique feature we can say. Because in case of partnership, if there are three partners, let's take example, and if the two of them they died because of some reasons, then that partnership it will came to the end, because partnership requires at least two people. In case of sole trading concern, if that owner he dies, then there are chances that that sole trading concern it will be shut down. In case of joint into family, if that karta he died, then there are very few chances of continuation of that joint into family business. But in case of company, every shareholder he needs to appoint a nominee. So in case any shareholder, or in case of a death of the shareholder, or if that shareholder becomes insolvent, or there is an insanity, then the nominee he can become a shareholder, and when that the nominee becomes a shareholder, he will appoint a new nominee for himself. So the same conditions apply to that new shareholder too. So you will get an idea that even though a shareholder died, even though every single shareholder of the company he died, then their nominees they will become a shareholders. Those shareholders, if they died, then their nominees they will become shareholders. So a company has a perpetual succession. There is a life of the company, it is unlimited, unless and until the company decides to wind up its business, or any court they order the company to wind up its business. But beyond these reasons, there is a perpetual succession. They can enjoy the long life, continuous existence. Then second thing, it is a common seal. As we discussed in a point above, company is an artificial person. Company can enter into the contract. But if company wants to enter into the contract, then there is a single question that okay means in a company it will like deal through its directors, because those directors they will act as an agent only, right? But who is going to sign? Because you cannot say, right, that if X is a person who is a director of ABC company, you cannot give a guarantee that X will be director for a lifetime. There are the chances X will resign from his post, or X will die, or X will whatever thing happened to the X. So in that case, is it the thing that okay, that new person who will be coming instead of X, that person now he will sign the documents? So do you think that that opposite person he is going to trust? Because any person they can become a director. That person is going to come, that person is going to sign. And what if that person died? And what if that person become insolvent? What if that person become a person of unsound mind? So there should be a something which is known as something which is known as a signature of a company. It is known as common seal. So that common seal, it is a kind of signature. It has a name of the company on it, and it is a device that is in the form of common seal, and common seal act as a signature. It is affixed on all important documents and contracts of the company. Usually two directors and secretaries sign the documents as a witness that the seal is affixed. But if there is no seal, then there is no contract, or it is an invalid document. The seventh feature, it is known as a limited liability. As we said about that separate legal entity, it means company it is a different person, shareholder it will be a different person. So the liability of shareholder it is limited in nature. It is not like in the case of, it is not like a partnership firm or a joint stock joint into family business or sole trading concern. Because in those cases liability it is unlimited, but in case of company liability is a very limited liability, and shareholder will be responsible for that unpaid amount of his share. And if he has made a full payment towards his shares, then he is not responsible for a single penny. So even though personal property of shareholder it cannot be used for a payment of a debts of the company. So you can imagine that this is the biggest advantage being a shareholder or being an investor. Then the second thing, separation of ownership and management. We have discussed this in the definition that being a company is a huge form of organization. It has a huge capital and they are working through the professional means. Those people who are buying the shares of the company, they may not have that expert knowledge, or they may not be the expertise persons. So that's why they appoint directors who will look after the management of the company, who will look after the administration of the company. and that the chain of being a manager, their secretary, their employees, and all those things, that chain is going to expand. But there is a single, or there is a point that there is a separation of management and ownership, because shareholders, they will act as a owners of the company, but they cannot take a part in a management. There is an annual general meeting in which, if company want to pass certain resolution, obviously they need the votes. So indirectly, shareholders, they took a part in a management, but they do not take a direct part in a management of the company. And those managers, they will get a salary, or they will get an honorarium for their services. So there is a separation of management and ownership, you can say. Transferability of shares, because the shares of the public limited company, they are freely transferable. Any person who can sell the shares, or any person who can buy the shares, there is no specific limit. But in case of private limited company, there is a restriction on transfer of shares. So it is only allowable in case of public limited company. The number of members you are talking, in joint stock company, usually they require minimum 7 members to form or to establish as a joint stock company, and there is no limitation on maximum number of shareholders. And that is the reason that joint stock company, it gets a huge amount of capital. Then capital, if you are talking, as I said, that joint stock company, it can raise a huge amount of capital due to large number of members, and that amount of capital which is collected by the company in form of shares, debentures, bond, public deposit, again he can obtain a loan from a bank, and they are going to use that thing for expansion, for the growth, and for the business purposes. Then government control, but joint stock company, they need to act, or they need to operate under the control of the government and supervision of the government, because the registration is compulsory for all companies, and the registered company must follow the regulations which are given in a company law, and company has to file a copy of its income statement, its profit and loss statement, its balance sheet, and other relevant financial statements like cash flow statement and all that stuff. So again, they have to maintain the proper books of accounts, because their accounts must be audited. There is an audit which is conducted for a company. In that audit, we used to examine that the records or the entries which are done by, or which are recorded by the company, they are correct and they show the true and fair view or not. Also, they need to fulfill other statutory obligations, and if they fail to do so, then they will be penalized. And this control is essential to protect financial interest of the investors or the creditors, all the stakeholders which are there, or those people, they invested their capital in the company. So look, there are total in general 12 features which we studied today, and there will be the last point which is going to study. We are going to study not in this lecture but in this another lecture, that is a type of companies. So because if you said that, sir, we have already studied those types of company in OC lecture, public limited company, private limited company, but my dear student, it is not like that. Here we are going to study that type in detail, because in general, if I count on a paper, then almost there is 6, then 10. Okay, then there are 17 types of companies which are given in this chart. I can see the chart on my OC book, page number 22. So if you just count those number of companies, there are almost 17 types of companies which are existing. In OC, we have studied only 2 types. So that 2 types there, it is not like, okay, we have studied 2 types and it is done. There are in general 17 types. Obviously, we are not going in detail like we did in the OC, because in OC, we studied the forms of organization. In that thing, we studied features of company, features of the organization, merits, demerits. But here you are just going to study, or you are just going through the types of company, what is the requirement, what are the basic features and all that stuff. So obviously we will studying that in the next chapter, in the next thing, because I think this is enough for today. So just read out whatever we have discussed, and if you find anything difficulty, then let me know, then we will clear it out. Okay, so we will be only the last part of the chapter it is pending, so mostly in one lecture we will finish the chapter. So, okay, so till that, study hard. So take care of your family. Bye bye, good night.